Today we come to 9.1.7. Once, when the Exalted One was staying near Rajagaha on Mount Vulture Peak, Suttavan, the wanderer, came and paid him a visit. After greeting the Exalted One and exchanging the usual complimentary speeches, he sat down at one side. So seated, he addressed the Exalted One thus. Now on one occasion, Lord, when the Exalted One was staying here at Rajagaha on Giribhaja, I heard this from the mouth of the Exalted One. From his own mouth I learnt it. The ARAHANT monk, Suttavan, who has destroyed the asavas, lived the holy life, done what was to be done, laid down the burden, won to the goal, burst the bonds of becoming, and is freed by the fullness of knowledge, cannot transgress the 5 standards. A monk in whom the asavas are destroyed cannot deliberately take the life of any living thing, cannot with intention to steal take what is not given, cannot indulge in carnal intercourse, cannot intentionally tell a lie, cannot enjoy pleasures from savings as of before when a householder. Pray, Lord, have I heard the matter rightly from the Exalted One? Have I grasped it rightly? Have I borne it in mind rightly? Have I understood it rightly? And the Buddha said, Certainly, Suttavan, you have heard the matter rightly, grasped it rightly, borne it in mind rightly, and understood it rightly. Both in the past and now, Suttavan, I verily declare, the ARAHANT monk who has destroyed the asavas, lived the holy life, done what was to be done, laid down the burden, won to the goal, burst the bonds of becoming, and is freed by the fullness of knowledge, cannot transgress 9 standards. A monk in whom the asavas are destroyed cannot deliberately take the life of any living thing, cannot with intention to steal take what is not given, cannot indulge in carnal intercourse, cannot intentionally tell a lie, cannot enjoy pleasures from savings as of before when a householder. A monk in whom the asavas are destroyed cannot go astray through desire, cannot go astray through hate, cannot go astray through delusion, cannot go astray through fear. Both in the past and now, Suttavan, I verily declare, an ARAHANT monk who has lived the life, the holy life, done what was to be done, laid down the burden, won to the goal, burst the bonds of becoming, and is freed by the fullness of knowledge, cannot transgress these 9 standards. This is quite an interesting sutta. Here the Buddha is saying that ARAHANT monk, an enlightened person, cannot break these 9 standards. 1, he cannot intentionally kill. 2, he cannot intentionally steal. 3, he cannot indulge in sexual intercourse. 4, cannot tell a lie. 5, cannot save up something to use later, in other words, something, food or something, because he's not worried about whether he lives or not. And then after that, he cannot do something wrong because of desire or greed. He cannot do something wrong because of hatred. He cannot do something wrong because of delusion. And he cannot do something wrong because of fear. So these are the 9 standards to judge ARAHANT. And so this is from the earlier suttas, but sometimes if you're not careful, you'll read some later books, they may say something which is contrary to this. For example, they may claim that such and such a person is enlightened, yet he can break these precepts, then he cannot be an enlightened person if that is so.
The next sutta is 9.3.26. Once when the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Chandika Putta were dwelling near Rajagaha in the bamboo grove at the squirrels' feeding ground, the Venerable Chandika Putta addressed the monks, saying, Reverend Sirs, Devadatta taught Dhamma to the monks thus. When, sirs, the mind of a monk is heaped around with thoughtfulness, it is proper for that monk to explain, I know that birth is destroyed, the holy life lived, done is what was to be done, and there is no more of this to come. I'll just stop here for a moment. This Devadatta was one of the disciples of the Buddha, and at first he was a very good monk and he attained the jhanas and attained the psychic powers, but later because of greed, because of wanting to take over the position of the Buddha, he lost his psychic powers, and later he even tried to harm the Buddha. So Devadatta had quite a reputation, so that is why this Reverend Chandika Putta is quoting Devadatta. And the sutta continues. Now when he had thus spoken, the Venerable Sariputta said, Nay, Reverend Chandika Putta, Devadatta taught not Dhamma so, but he taught the monks thus. When the mind of a monk is well heaped around with thoughtfulness, it is proper for that monk so to explain, I know that birth is destroyed, the holy life lived, done is what was to be done, and there is no more of this to come. The second time the Venerable Chandika Putta spoke in like manner, and the second time the Venerable Sariputta replied as before. The third time the Venerable Chandika said, Reverend Sirs, Devadatta taught Dhamma to the monks thus. When, sirs, the mind of a monk is heaped around with thoughtfulness, it is proper for that monk to explain, I know that birth is destroyed, the holy life lived, done is what was to be done, and there is no more of this to come. When he had thus spoken, the Venerable Sariputta for a third time said, Nay, Reverend Chandika Putta, Devadatta taught not Dhamma so, but he taught the monks thus. When the mind of a monk is well heaped around with thoughtfulness, it is proper for that monk so to explain, I know that birth is destroyed, the holy life lived, done is what was to be done, and there is no more of this to come.
Sutta number 6.6.55. This is one of the well-known suttas. Once, when the Exalted One was dwelling near Rajagaha on Mount Vulture Peak, the Venerable Sona dwelt in cool wood near Rajagaha. Now the Venerable Sona, in solitude apart, thought thus in his mind, the Exalted One's disciples live in active energy, and I am one of them. Yet my heart is not detached and free of the asavas. My family is rich, and I can enjoy riches and do good. What if I were to forsake the training and turn to low things, enjoy riches and do good? And the Exalted One, knowing in his own heart the Venerable Sona's thoughts, as a strong man might stretch his bent arm or bend his stretched arm, left Mount Vulture Peak and appeared in cool wood before the Venerable Sona. And when his seat was ready, the Exalted One sat down, and the Venerable Sona, after saluting, also sat down at one side. And the Exalted One said to him, so seated, Sona, did you not thus think in your heart, the Exalted One's disciples live in active energy, and I am one of them. Yet my heart is not detached and free of the asavas. What if I were to forsake the training and turn to low things? Yes, Lord. What think you, Sona? Were you not in the old days at home, clever at the lutes, string, music? Yes, Lord. And what think you, Sona, when your lute's strings were overstrung? Was your lute then tuneful and playable? No, indeed, Lord.
And what think you, Sona, when your lute strings were overlaxed? Was your lute then tuneful and playable? No, indeed, Lord. But when, Sona, your lute strings were neither overstrung nor overlaxed, but keyed to the middle pitch, was your lute then tuneful and playable? Surely, Lord. Even so, Sona, energy when overstrung ends in flurry or restlessness, when overlaxed in idleness. Wherefore, Sona, stand fast in the mean of energy, pierce the mean in the use of the faculties, and therein grasp the real worth. Yes, Lord. And the Exalted One, after charging the Venerable Sona with this counsel, as a strong man might bend his arm to and fro, left cool wood and appeared on Mount Vulture Peak. And presently the Venerable Sona stood fast in the mean of energy, pierced the mean in the faculties, and grasped therein the mark, and living alone, secluded, earnest, ardent, resolute, entered and abode, not long after, here amid things seen, by his own power, in the realization of that end, above all, of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the home to the homeless life. And he knew, birth is ended, the holy life lived, done is what was to be done, there is no more of this to come. And the Venerable Sona was numbered among the Arahants. Then, having won to Arahantship, the Venerable Sona thought, suppose I visit the Exalted One and declare knowledge near him. And he went to the Exalted One, saluted him and sat down at one side. And so seated he said, Lord, the Arahant monk who has destroyed the asavas, lived the life, done what was to be done, set down the burden, won self-will, shattered life's fetter, and is freed by perfect knowledge, has applied himself to 6 things, to dispassion, detachment, harmlessness, destroying craving, destroying grasping, and to non-delusion. Perhaps, Lord, some venerable person may think, could it be that this venerable man has applied himself to dispassion, relying on mere faith alone? Let him not think so. Lord, the asava-freed monk who has lived the life, done what was to be done, who sees not in himself to be done, not to be added to what has been done, by the fact of being passionless, has applied himself to dispassion by destroying passion, by the fact of being without hatred, has applied himself to dispassion by destroying hatred, by the fact of being delusion, has applied himself to dispassion by destroying delusion. Or he may think, could it be that this venerable man has applied himself to detachment while hankering after gains, favors and flattery, to harmlessness while backsliding from the true, clinging to rules and rituals, to destroying craving, to destroying grasping, to non-delusion, while clinging to rules and rituals? Let him not think so. Lord, the asava-freed monk, by the fact of being without passion, hatred, delusion, has applied himself to detachment, harmlessness, destroying craving, destroying grasping, non-delusion, by destroying passion, hatred and delusion. Lord, if objects cognizable by the eye come very strongly into the range of vision of a monk, wholly freed in mind, they obsess not his mind, and his mind is untroubled, firm, having won to composure, and he marks their set. So too, sounds cognizable by the ear, smells by the nose, tastes by the tongue, contacts by the touch, and thoughts by the mind, he marks their setting. Imagine, Lord, a mountain crag or rock, cleftless, chasmless, massive, and a squall were to come very strongly from the east. It would not shake, nor rock, nor stir that crag. Or were a squall to come from the west, from the north, from the south, it would not shake, nor rock, nor stir it. Even so, Lord, if objects cognizable by the eye come very strongly into the range of a monk's vision, one wholly freed in mind, they obsess not his mind, and his mind is untroubled, firm, having won to composure, and he marks their setting. So too of sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts. That's the end of the sutta. This is one of the well-known suttas, and it's also mentioned in the Vinaya about this monk. This monk is called Sona Kolivisa, And he was supposed to come from a very rich family, and he was so delicate that it seemed that at the soles of his feet, at the bottom of his feet, hair grew. That is what is stated in the books. And after he became a monk, he was very diligent in practicing, and he tried not to sleep at night. And whenever he was tired or sleepy, he would walk. And he walked so much that his delicate feet broke, was cut, and he bled. And he bled so much that in the morning, when they look at the place where he walked meditation, it was so blood-stained that they thought he was like somebody had just slaughtered a cow or something there. And in spite of all his hard work, he was not yet an arahant. So because of putting too much energy, he lost heart, and he thought of disrobing. So the Buddha came to him and told him that as a layman he used to play the guitar. So the Buddha said if the guitar strings were too tight, it would not sound well. And if it was too loose also, would not sound loud. But if it was tuned to the middle pitch, then it would sound very well. So the Buddha advised him to practice the middle path, and he did so, and soon enough he became an arahant. And when he became an arahant, like those other arahants, they don't come and say that I have become an arahant. They just declare knowledge by saying how arahant sees things as they really are.